Well, hello, boys and girls. On today's episode, all the King's horses and all the King's men will not put the Lakers back together again against the Joker. Tell you why. To the victor went the Spurs. What does it mean for the rest of the NBA? The San Antonio Spurs getting the number one overall pick. And we end the show on some legendary stuff from some legends. Because heroes live forever and legends never die. Tune in. Hey, what's up, everyone? All right, it's Tricky Guy Sports. I'm your host, Brent Bilski, a.k.a. Double B. What is up? Today's sports world includes to the victor goes the Spurs, or vice versa. Denver gets up 1-0 against the Los Angeles Lakers. Boston and Miami tonight as the Final Four of the NBA continues. And also in the NBA draft, I do want to discuss basically the top three, where I think what should happen, what they should do, da-da-da-da-da. And, yeah. So we got a lot to get into today. I want to start off with a quick note. You know, Doc Rivers was just let go from the Philadelphia 76ers as he lost his fifth Game 7 in a row. The Philadelphia 76ers are up in the air. And I just wanted to make a quick point because, you know, it's fair enough because that's now his fifth Game 7 loss in a row as a head coach. And yes, the NBA has proven that it's not just good enough to get there, right? It's not just good enough to get there, have regular season success, to have consistency in records.
And the Heat will not foul. Sean Marion dribbles it out. And the celebration will begin. The Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions.
I don't know why the Dallas Mavericks championship thing just came up. Because like I was saying, you know, long-term consistent success over time, if you can't get it done when the big ones are there, you know, that's just not enough. Success overall is not enough, right?
And the final seconds set to tick off. San Antonio is back on top once again. The Spurs are the 2014 NBA
Oh, that's
champions.
so weird. Somehow the 2014 announcement, I don't know what's wrong with my audio right now today. I mean, yes, because when you talk about the greatest of all time, you talk about GOATs, you talk about what you need. You know, winning records and having a bunch of winning records overall and having a title behind you or two, if you have a losing overall record, I mean, you just can't, you know, it's just not good enough in today's NBA standards.
Will bring it up. Throw up the three. Rebound Curry. And the dream season is now complete. The Golden State Warriors are the 2015 NBA champions.
I think I heard something about the Warriors 2015. Anyways, I'm trying to make a point here, you know, because you can't blame the players. You can't blame anyone else. In the end, if you're the leader of the team, the responsibility's on you. And yeah, regular season, you know, who cares? Who cares about some playoff success? If you get to the big games and you have a losing record versus a winning record, we have proven that that's what will happen. Here we go. What?
2018 NBA season. There's the buzzer. There's a new dynasty in the NBA.
Now I got up to 2018. Oh, I see what I was doing. I'm just messing around. But seriously, okay, I don't want to always just tag along and pick on things, but give me a break. LeBron James, by the way, has a 4-6 finals record. That is the third. You know, LeBron James has the third worst ever when it comes to the 6 finals losses. That is the third most in NBA history, only behind Jerry West and Elgin Baylor, who consistently ran into Bill Russell on the Celtics. And his 33 finals games lost is first of all time. Just so you know that. Just for some fun facts. He's now he's first all time in finals games lost. He has the third most ever final series lost. But, you know, that doesn't count when we still want to put him as GOAT and everything. I mean,
what does that do? Does that blow your mind?
Whatever. I you know, it's fine. It's fine. And Philadelphia 76ers do need to make some moves. James Harden apparently is not happy with Doc Rivers, so there you go. But Doc even said after their Game 7 shellacking 112-88 the other day when Boston and Jason Tatum got that record 51. He did say this, and this will segue me into the next thing I wanted to discuss. This was only a quick news of note and just kind of to make a point of like, really? Regular season and having consistency and playoff success suddenly is now a way to, you know, not to give someone their credit when credit's due, considering the fact that Doc Rivers, just so you know, was one of 5 head coaches in NBA history to have a winning record for 16 straight seasons, joining only Greg Popovich, Phil Jackson, and Pat Riley with longer terms of winning consistency. The only other one he tied was Jerry Sloan. He had a 154-82 record in his 3 seasons with Philadelphia, including 54 victories in 2022-23. That's the most since 2001. He's one of 3 teams in the top 10 in both offensive and defensive efficiency. Yes, he did lose a lot of Game 7s in a row, but he also does have championship pedigree, and the Philadelphia 76ers do not. So, whatever.
Damn, Daniel.
But when they asked him about Game 7, and I'll move on from it because who cares? It's just head coaching carousels are the way they go. But, when they asked him about it the other day, I thought this was interesting. The Jason Tatum 51. What else have you seen close to that? And here's what old Doc had to say, now former 76er head coach.
Jason Tatum set the record for the most points in a Game 7. As far as games that you were involved in as either a player or a coach, how many other playoff games do you think were of this caliber?
I've seen one, and it was in this building, unfortunately, and it was LeBron. That's the only time I've seen a performance.
Yes. The last one he has seen since, anyone has done it was the guy who I compared it to is kind of making a point of like really whatever. We don't have to go into the GOAT debate all the time. We don't have to always get into the fact that, again, he's the 3rd worst ever in finals losses for any player ever and has the most finals losses in games in NBA history. And somehow you still want to put against a guy who has 0 losses in the NBA finals. I mean,
It's the only argument I need, Sean!
because the bigger point is the Denver Nuggets, and, this is not just heart, I think this is head, are now up 1-0 on the Los Angeles Lakers as they were able to hang on to their victory last night. Congratulations, Denver Nuggets. You guys are legit and now clearly my title favorites with the last 4 remaining. Yeah, all the King's horses and all the King's men could not do anything to stop the Joker again. This dude is just a seriously tough cover, especially for the LA Lakers. But, I mean, he had it completely rolling last night. 34 points, 21 rebounds, 14 assists, 2 blocks, was absolutely out of his mind, including one of the toughest shots. And, I mean, again, if you watch Jokic, the Joker, so much of it is just YMCA looking like 80% speed, yet somehow is able to dominate every other athlete on the floor. Highlighted by this. This was just, I mean, it was Game 1. It was in Denver, and they were rolling. I mean, look at this nonsense at the end of the 3rd quarter.
Jokic just gets it off in time. It's up. Oh, it's good! Of course it goes in! Jokic from downtown! Anthony Davis just stares at him. The breathtaking performance from Nikola Jokic continues.
80s face says it all right there. And, I mean, that wasn't the only one, by the way. Also, Jamal Murray, who has become quite a little unsung hero, hasn't he, out there in Denver, who, by the way, has the best record left of anyone remaining, who, by the way, has home court and had the 2nd best home court record in the West, and that's only because at the end of the season they kind of took the regular season last 10 to 12 games off and let Memphis kind of get past them. I mean, this is the team in the mile high of Denver where it's a little hard to breathe. The fact that they have home court against Los Angeles is already tough enough for the LA Lakers, who I think really are in for the rudest of awakenings here. But they really did, make a push in the second half, and Denver just hit some stuff that you can't rely on every night. I mean, it's home court advantage is nice. Having, momentum on your side is nice. But I just showed you the Jokic shot, and even Anthony Davis being like, all right, dude, I'm a great defender. This dude just made some goofy stuff here. And then right after that, you had my man Jamal Murray, to where even LeBron gave him the thumbs up. They both kind of thumbs up this, like, yeah, this is just, some of these shots are just stupid.
The officials during the timeout looked at this 3-pointer from Jamal Murray.
Look at this.
And again, Murray, the step back, James right in his face.
I mean, right there.
Watch a right foot inside the arc, obviously. So that's a 2-pointer, and it's an 8-point lead for Denver. James was impressed. Murray loved it. But what's impressive right now is...
Yeah, what's impressive right now is that And I guess it is impressive, but, the more I watch the Denver Nuggets, there's a reason they were the first seed in the West. There's a reason that it looks like they're going to be able. I got them cruising. I really do. I have them cruising through this next series here. The fact is, the Los Angeles Lakers were living on a little bit of fool's gold, a little bit of just the fact that they played against some flawed teams to get here. I know, you're going to say, oh, it's all because you hate LeBron James. And fair enough. It's not even that I hate LeBron James, but watching the fan base have to eat it after all the nonsense and them beating the team I love, the Golden State Warriors. I'll admit there's some bias here. I'll do something that people that try to analyze sports won't do. I'll admit there's a little bit in here as much as there is up here of like, I am not a fan of the Lakers. I am not a fan of Mr. James. I'm not a fan of the fan base. I am not a fan of the comparisons you guys make to the true GOATs when, again, he's the only one. And I'm going to have to keep stressing, he's the only one in the GOAT conversation. You understand this, right? Of all the other ones you bring up, you can bring up Michael, you can bring up Russell, you can bring up Kareem, you can bring up Magic, you can bring up Bird, you can bring up Kobe. You can go bang, 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 all the way down the list. And other than, like, again, Jerry West or Elgin Baylor, who no one brings up ever in the conversation of GOATs. Matter of fact, a lot of people get mad that Jerry West is the logo of the NBA and say that there's racial bias there.
Because I'm white. Because he's white. Because he is white. Look at him, man.
So he really is the only one on the platform that has a losing finals record. He has more losses in the finals than he does wins. And as I just pointed out at the start of this podcast here with Doc Rivers, they said it itself, hey, you've had success, but we don't, it's not enough. You lose too many game sevens, you lose too many big game situations. And even though James Harden and Embiid had a rough time, even though you've been in some tough situations where maybe you didn't get all the help you needed, in the end, we're going to hold you accountable because it doesn't matter all this consistency and this longevity. What matters is in the big ones, you can't get it done. Yet somehow with this guy, you prop him up there and you tell me that he's on the same level when it comes to the GOAT conversation, which in the end really does come down to not just title rings, but performance in title rings and everything combined. He's the only one. He's the only one who has, look it up, there's no one else on the list who has a losing finals record besides him.
It's the only argument I need, Sean!
Matter of fact, is the only one that you compare him to the most, which becomes the most conversation. He has 0 to your 6. Michael Jordan has as many finals wins as LeBron James has losses, yet somehow... And I mean, you see, you got me delving off. How about the fact that when you bring up, some of the records, well, he's now the all-time scoring record. None of you had Kareem as your second. None of you did. So this is the other part that pisses me off. The only time Kareem has ever come into the GOAT conversation, and now you see what you done. See what you done. See what you did? You weren't even... I could hear you saying it through the comments. I could hear you.
I hate.
None of you ever in the history of ever had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as your GOAT, and then when LeBron passed the regular season all-time scoring record, did you go, oh, well, I guess I have to take Kareem off the top and put LeBron now at first? It was only until that record, and that's what happens with this. A lot of his stuff and credit you want to give him, you wait until he gets it, and then whoever's record he broke was not the person that you had at GOAT, yet somehow it now supersedes everyone else and puts him at the GOAT because it's just you don't have anything to do with the overall argument and the conversation of he's the only one with 6 finals losses. Has the most NBA finals games lost in NBA history, and he's missed playoffs where other guys in their primes, or at least at the end of their primes, did not miss playoffs. It's just overall, oh my God.
You're right. I object.
And why is that, Mr. Reed?
Because it's devastating to my case.
Overruled.
Good call.
I need to get to the game, and then I got to get the draft stuff, so I don't have time to get into all this with you. I don't want to hear all this bitchy. But good Lord, even the hype before the game, the ESPN, who really loves them some LeBron James. I think one day we will find out, and I have this conspiracy theory, that going all the way back to when LeBron made the announcement of, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach, that there was some sort of backdoor Rich Paul, his agent deal exclusive of like, ESPN, we're going to give you the access to him. We're going to give you the most, ability to cover him because he does equal ratings. He is obviously quite the ratings draw. But you're going to have to always kind of be on his side. You're always going to have to hype him up. Look, tinfoil hat me, say what you want. I have a feeling that I'm not wrong on that. I have a serious feeling that I am not wrong on a conspiracy that between the two of the groups, between Rich Paul's agency and ESPN, that there is a conversation, or at least there was, of like, hey, you always have first access to him, but you're always going to have to give us a little bit of, you're going to be our hype man.
The price is wrong, bitch.
I could be wrong, but stuff like this doesn't help. So, again, Denver, the number 1 overall seed, and yes, the Lakers are the bigger ratings. They are the ratings draw. LeBron is the ratings draw. As we found out, the Warriors-Lakers series, which unfortunately did not go my way or Warriors fans' ways, was the most watched in like 15 years of anything not named the NBA Finals, and the ratings were right there rivaling and actually beating at some points the average NBA Finals ratings from the last couple years. It is a huge draw, so there is maybe a point to be made there. But they did a little hype thing for Game 1, and Jesus H. Christ, I mean, Jokic, the 2-time MVP, arguably maybe should have been 3 if you retroactively look in hindsight now of what Embiid and his horrible Game 7 that did get Doc Rivers fired along with James Harden. You have the number 1 seed in the West, and the whole video, I mean, tell me until at the very end, is a small mention of Joker. The rest of this was just typical ESPN LeBron hype stuff that is so annoying. So unbelievably annoying. Look at this nonsense.
Well, it was never L.A.
We might have to remove LeBron James
Because
from Mount
this
Rushmore.
is a sinking ship.
Still conversation of downtown.
Oh, and he drops the crown.
Denver, best team in the West.
Cute video, good hype thing, very WWE. You know I'm a wrestling fan.
It's still real to me, damn it.
But, I mean, still, give me a freaking break. There is just a lot. It was just, a whole, 20 of that 30 seconds, however long that was, I want to say about 30 seconds, was just a focus on LeBron, and he's the king with the crown because I guess y'all have labeled him still the king, which, yeah, you could tell me that's an awesome nickname.
All right, you got me. That's an awesome nickname.
You still got, See what you did? You got me all cranky. Let's just get to it, because the fact is, I really, besides all of the obvious anger and frustration and hostility that I have towards the organization, that player, and his fan base, I really do think you're up Craps Creek without a paddle. I do. I think Denver is a rude awakening. I think this is no longer the flawed Memphis Grizzlies. You got to remember who the Lakers beat to get here. And I think that wasn't given enough stress or credit. The fact is, they got to go against 2 lollipop guilds, too much of the Munchkin kids, between the Memphis Grizzlies, who had all sorts of other issues, Dylan Brooks, Ja Morant, the hand injury to Ja Morant. They had both of their centers out, so they were tiny. Then you go against the Golden State Warriors and Steve Kerr, who is just so damn stubborn. He thinks that Draymond Green is the answer at center, or to always consistently go small. This is not the flawed Golden State Warriors of a bygone era as far as clinging to a small ball system that allowed you to bully them and beat them up inside, consistently out-rebound them, consistently get more free throws, consistently be able to get easy buckets down low. This is not the flawed Memphis Grizzlies, who had one guy, pretty much on his way to a drive-by shooting in between games, allegedly, and then Dylan Brooks, who seemed more concerned with his pre- or post-game outfits and comments than he did anything else, including actually trying to play the basketball game. But the fact is, both those teams were tiny. Denver is not tiny. Jokic is not tiny.
That's a huge bit.
These are some big boys. They are deep. They have guys like Reggie Jackson and others just sitting on their bench. DeAndre Jordan just sitting on their bench. They have the size, the depth, the ability, the home court advantage, a great home court record, and a guy, Nikola Jokic, who I have one complaint on. One that I will bring you here in a second. But overall, it was just an ass-kicking that kind of became a game at the end because of maybe one thing involving Nikola Jokic, which I will discuss in just 1 second. But in case you missed some of the highlights here, Denver, L.A., final score 132-126, and shouldn't have been that close considering it was just an ass-kicking at the beginning because the Lakers got truly hit in the mouth by a team that could finally push back. They finally had to go against a team that was big enough to go, no, we're not doing small ball. Ain't nothing small here, homie.
That's a huge bitch.
We got size, and we know how to swing it. You know, it's not just the size of the Nuggets, it's the motion of our thin-aired ocean. Here you go. Boom, boom.
Not as much of a factor against Golden State. And they'll need him here in the conference final. Jokic spins, finds Caldwell Pope cutting.
Yeah, Jokic's passing ability out of the post is already going to be very problematic. Again, this isn't Kevon Looney. You know what I mean? This isn't, Jaren Jackson, who is by a lot of things not a fundamentally sound passer, point guard type. This is not Draymond Green at 6'7". This is a 2-time MVP, maybe should have been 3 in a row, that is at home court and has a lot of people around him, including Aaron Gordon and including Michael Porter Jr. and other guys, the Browns that can go in. The little guys can beat you up. This is no longer flawed nonsense. This is a real deal number 1 seed that can push back in every way that they need to against the strategy that got you through the first 2 rounds.
Lead. This is the largest of the game. James tries to answer, reads the rebound, back to James. Nice pass. Davis not expecting
nice
this,
pass.
But catches and finishes. Caldwell Pope to Jokic. A quick spin move inside for the...
He doesn't look like much. Jokic doesn't look like much, but he just put Davis in a blender. That was Akeem-ish in that spin move. Let me see if I can get back to that one more time, because this was just a filthy spin move by the Joker against a guy who defensively's numbers and everything else was really like, oh my God, can anyone do anything against Anthony Davis? This big old goofy slow Serbian or Croatian or whatever, I have to look that up. I don't want to be rude against the Caucasian here. He's one of them. He's one of them Lithuanian, Serbian, foreigner, I don't know what he is, but he's cracker, so I hate him.
Kill Whitey!
But look at the spin move again.
Caldwell Pope to Jokic. A quick spin move inside for the dunk.
Right past him.
Dangerous. You got LeBron James working people over in the paint.
Gets inside, banks it in, and
Use that size.
Those little LeBron post-ups and being able to bully are going to be, especially as the series goes on, even more few and far between here. This ain't Golden State, dog. This ain't the Lollipop Kids.
the strength for the putback. Davis goes right at him, blocked by Jokic. Not known for... Davis drives inside, Brown comes down.
See those Davises? Look at those one more time. Look at Davis trying to go ahead. Again, yeah, this ain't Draymond. This isn't, a thin Memphis roster that had a lot of injuries to them anymore. This is a fully loaded, again, number 1 seed team with home court who have 7-footers to spare, as a matter of fact, along with power forwards and small forwards who are bigger than the average small forward or power forward. This is a different game, dog.
Davis goes right at him, blocked by Jokic. Not known for... Davis drives inside. Brown comes to help and swats it away. Now Bruce Brown has it. Sidestep blocked by James off of Brown. LeBron James at 38 years old runs down.
Oh,
the
at
floor
38
with a
years
rejection.
old. Oh, at 38 years old. Some days he's the king. Some days, he's still this, he's still that. And other days, we got to remember at 38, which is where I think we should put him, actually, because, that is, at 38 years old, that is his legacy, is that he's able to be, great, not all-time great, not GOAT, but he's great and really good over an extended period of time, a la a Philadelphia coach who got fired. But, yeah, the fact is, you look at Jokic at the end of the game, and also the fact that, look, the LA Lakers, really did give them a shot here, and I think kind of blew their wad, a little bit. I think they gave them put out a pretty big load there, and I don't know if they can keep handling all that load.
Quite a load.
Well, Van can handle quite a load.
I mean, again, LeBron James plays 40 minutes. Anthony Davis plays 42. You got to remember this is in Denver, and it does take some time to get used to, and is even more taxing on the body, that silly thin air they have out there, which is a whole nother, every sport will tell you, like, going to Denver and playing is different if you're not used to it and you're not there all the time. It takes an adjustment. Hell, I've been skiing there, I think maybe once or twice in my life, and walking up a flight of stairs when I was in shape, I was ready to go ahead and pass out. So, but still, LeBron played 40, Anthony Davis played 42. We are consistently now in a bad situation for the Lakers where it's a day-off game. They don't have some of the luxuries that other teams have had where, they would get 2, maybe 3 nights off before the next one. This is a top-heavy team that likes to win physically, defensively, and bully because they just don't have the shooting necessary to get it done. And both of those guys played really well. I mean, Anthony Davis had 40 points. He had, 10 rebounds and 3 assists. I mean, but he dropped 40. LeBron had, a good game himself here. He had 26, 12, and 9. And even Hachimura off the bench continued to play well, played good defense against Joker. Congratulations to Rui, starting to really establish himself, Japanese descent. So, they really gave him as much as they could. The fact is they were still out-rebounded 47-30 by the Denver Nuggets. 47-30. They were out-rebounded 30-13 in the first half. They were offensive out-rebounded 15-5 offensive rebounds. They were outscored in the paint 50-48. This team is not Golden State. This is not an injured Memphis. This is a real big boy team, and I don't think this gets past 6. I just don't. I really don't see how it happens. There's only one thing I saw in the second half that I will point out a little bit here. Jokic, as good as you are, and again, Nikola Jokic is that dude. He was playing phenomenal, especially in the first half. But I don't know, man. Dude, you have to. You and Luka Doncic both get in shape.
Cry me a river, you fat baby. You disgust me.
I don't care. I mean, as good as Jokic has been, as good as Luka continues to be, both of those guys, as dominant as they are statistically and having team success, you can tell by looking at both of them. They do not take their diet seriously. They do not take the offseason seriously. They do not take weightlifting at all seriously. Jokic's body shape is a little bit embarrassing. It really is.
Telling me to lose weight. Oh, I'm a hot case, he says. Well, listen up, City Jim. I ate a baby.
I don't know if Jokic ate a baby, but he didn't exactly eat a salad. That's for sure. He actually looks a little thinner right now than a lot of times I've seen him during the season. But, I mean, no definition at all. And don't tell me body types. That's all nonsense. These guys have all the training access, the dietitian access. They have all the ability. You see guys go through body changes all the time in the NBA, and they'll flat tell you when they finally do it. Yeah, I just finally took weightlifting and diet seriously. And he doesn't. So I wonder if he might run out of gas, because the second half, the Lakers did storm back. They had a 38-point third quarter where they shot 75% from the field. And Jokic at the end of the first half had 19, 16, and 7 and 2 blocks. So he got no more blocks the second half. He only scored 15 points to his 19 in the first half. He only had 5 rebounds to his 16, and that's probably the most telling stat right there, is that he only had 5 rebounds after having 16 in the first half. That shows me someone who maybe, is able to come out of the gates firing, but because he has a gut like me. He has arms like me. I am not an NBA MVP.
Cry me a river, you fat baby. You disgust me.
That might be the way that if LA makes this a series, they'll be able to extend this, is just the idea that possibly they can just gas out Jokic and be able to outlast. Because Anthony Davis and LeBron James, for all the things that I say about LeBron, even at 38, is a physical specimen who takes care of himself, who knows how to do this, who has been here over and over, wins or a loss record ignored. This is a guy who consistently is always ready for the game, is always in phenomenal condition. Anthony Davis is injury prone, but he's not out of shape. Denver and Nikola Jokic is the centerpiece. Jokic is out of shape still. He looks like that to me. And in the second half, I saw him looking not nearly like the guy I saw in the first half. I mean, even that last shot in the third quarter here, you could see it. He's kind of sucking wind, and he's not really, I mean, he's there. He was able to make it, but I don't know if they can rely on this type of stuff. I mean, this is kind of the desperation shot at the end of a quarter that did go in, but is there maybe also a sign of he was also kind of just like, I'll just throw up this fadeaway 1-footer. I got to lay off the cold cuts, dog. Oh, this is killing me.
Jokic just gets it off in time. It's up. Oh, it's good. Of course it goes in. Jokic from downtown. Anthony Davis just stares at him. The breathtaking performance from Nikola Jokic continues.
And so, do I think that the LA Lakers come back and win this series? No. Do I think that the Denver Nuggets even make this an extended series to 7? Absolutely not. I do not see the LA Lakers winning 4 of the next 6. Again, because you have to rely on stuff that you can't do anymore. You can't just go, okay, well, shooting's not working. We're having inconsistencies. Let's just be able to stop them defensively and really buckle down and really just use our size to our advantage. That's all that's gone. And I know that's not advanced analytics. That's just me looking and going, yeah, they got enough. They got enough. But they do have home court. They do have one of the best home records. They do have a guy in a 7-footer that keeps Anthony Davis busy. Yes, I know at the end of the game they had Hachimura switch on to him, and there was some success in that mid-halftime adjustment by Coach Darvin Ham. Rui was able to keep him, only had the 2. But again, there was only 6 plays where Rui guarded him, and yes, Jokic was 0 of 2 in that spot. And so everyone's going like, oh, there it is. There's the adjustment necessary. They're just going to put Rui on Jokic, make him a scorer, and force him to not be able to go against Anthony Davis, because against Anthony Davis, he went 10 of 12. Against Rui Hachimura, he only went 0 of 2. In one-on-one situations, that was 6 plays for Rui versus 15 that he went against Anthony Davis. And yes, there was some success. But Denver can adjust too. Jokic can adjust too. Rui does not have the size if Denver and Jokic really want to start bullying that situation. I don't think that really is this long-term hallelujah, we got it all figured out now. I don't think so. I think LA is finally, the fool's gold is now been shown to be what it is, and they're most likely going to lose in 6. If you don't believe me, believe the psychic dog. Does anyone not know about the psychic corgi yet?
You're psychic. You can predict the future.
I don't know if you guys saw this. There's a corgi that uses his nose to shoot a rubber basketball off his top of his stairs to the stairs below into 2 buckets that resemble each team, and he seems to accurately predict. Well, he didn't predict the Warriors coming back in 7, but he probably didn't also predict Klay Thompson go 3 of 19 and Jordan Poole having a complete disappearing act. But this corgi seems to be quite as good an analyst as at least half the ding-dongs I hear on national television, and he once again picked the Lakers and Nuggets series, and here's how he had it going. So here we go, in case you don't know about the psychic corgi. He's good, man. He's good. He's a good boy. He's a real good boy. First game, Denver called that. Knocks the next ball to L.A. Okay, game 2 split. Denver wins in L.A. 2-1. Oh, it gets tied 2-2. Then Denver wins at home. And then closes out on the road. That's how the psychic corgi has it going.
You're psychic. You can predict the future.
If I'm being honest, I think Denver wins the next one at home. I think, again, LA kind of had to blow their load there in that second half, trying to make that furious comeback. Already in a deficit to where they got to be up 1-0 on Golden State, 1-0 on Memphis. I just don't know if they can play AD and LeBron, or that they can even do much better. AD had a dominant night for him, and I mean, really for anyone. The guy had 40 and double-digit rebounds. LeBron damn near had a high 20-point triple-double, and they shot 75% in the third quarter and had a 38-point third quarter, and it still wasn't enough to come back on this team. I think maybe they blew it all a little bit.
Quite a load.
Well, Van can handle quite a load.
Denver, they're going to be tired coming into game 2. Denver has deeper and more that they can use, even with Fat Jokic at the center of it, that they'll be able to, as a group effort, they're just overall more talented, they're deeper, I just don't see it going LA's way. I went longer on that than I thought I was going to. I really did. So there's my prediction there. You can take what you want. I am usually right to the point of boredom, so take with that what you will. I got Denver in 6 along with the Corgi.
Man, I'm tired of being right.
I didn't see this coming. I don't think a lot of people saw this one coming, though. NBA draft. Let me quickly delve into what happened there. San Antonio Spurs. Congratulations. You've won. To the victor goes the Spurs. The Spurs get Victor Wembanyama in the NBA draft lottery last night. Got the number 1 coveted, maybe the most coveted number 1 overall pick in NBA history, even with LeBron in 2003, even with Shaq in the late 90s, even with, Magic Johnson going back to 1980. I'm trying to think of anyone who had the hype and the absolute, this is a sure thing, a lock, 7'5", 19-year-old Victor Wembanyama, who, has an 8-foot wingspan and everything else. He's going to come in. Look at what he's doing in the G League. Look at his height. He's 19 years old. He's 7'5". He can shoot threes. He can dribble. He can block shots. He can do it all. Everyone, tank your seasons for this guy. Rockets tank their seasons. Pistons tank their seasons. Spurs tank their seasons. The Commissioner Silver was like, too many teams are tanking seasons. He was the anti-Oprah. You can't take your season. You can't tank your season. And everyone was just in a absolute frenzy to get this kid. In the end, it was the San Antonio Spurs, whose enthusiasm could be seen. There was so much drama around this already. Again, this was a year buildup to this culmination. Holt, the owner, lost his mind. He looked like an Eagles fan after they won the Super Bowl. This guy was just going absolutely ballistic. I mean, really kind of, almost spiking the football, rubbing it into the other guys. Why don't you just go to Portland and Charlotte here? Good Lord, look at how pumped this dude was.
The Charlotte Hornets. And that means that the number 1 pick in the 2023 goes to the San Antonio Spurs.
The San Antonio Spurs walk away with the first overall pick in the 2023 draft. The right to draft a paradigm shifter, a generational talent.
Generational. But yeah, Holt was just, woo.
Well, then everyone loses their mind.
Let me watch that first part one more time here, dude. He slams the desk. Woo! Ric Flair woo, basically, there. Let's go.
The Charlotte Hornets.
Woo!
The number 1 pick in the 2023
doing a flex. Seriously, all he needs is the fireworks behind him in the entrance there. That was, phenomenal. And, Steve Ballmer, we're going to have so many toilets in our new arena enthusiasm. He was just like, woo, he's excited.
I'm so
Jesse Spano excited.
I'm so excited. I'm so scared.
All right, relax, pillhead. I can say that. I was a pillhead myself. Literally. Even Wembanyama himself, though, by the way, was quite happy after the Spurs got the number 1. Because all things considered, this is the San Antonio Spurs. This is Greg Popovich. This is historically a franchise that not only does good with foreign players, but where he's from, which I'll discuss in 2 seconds here. But look at Mr. 7'5", 8-foot wingspan, generational talent, gonna change the entire world the second he steps on the court. Everything's different now because Victor's gonna be a San Antonio Spur. Even he seemed very enthused. I don't know, Holt enthused, but hyped up all the way down in Paris, where he was watching the draft with his family. Again, all things considered, this is very reminiscent. This is. I'll just turn it off now because this is very reminiscent of when the Spurs, who the last 2 times they did have number 1 picks, those 2 guys, by the way, just so you know, were Hall of Famers Tim Duncan and David Robinson, which led them to a 20-year run of 5 championships and other things that was absolutely maybe one of the greatest dynasties of all time. So the last 2 times they had number 1 overalls, they did not just not strike out. They were able to create a franchise in a small market that we haven't seen repeated hardly ever.
What does that do? Does that blow your mind?
So, I mean, between that or going to like Houston or Detroit or Charlotte or some of the other ones that were at the top of the list, matter of fact, let me make sure I get this right. The Trailblazers, Rockets, Pistons, and the Pistons, who actually ended up in 5th after tanking their season, now make it the 5th straight year that the team with the worst record in the league did not win the number 1 overall pick. So tanking is maybe not what it's all tanked up to be.
Damn, Daniel.
You can't do anything about that. But if you're Mr. Wembanyama here, you have to be hyped that you're going to the one organization that does have, the most recent championship pedigree, that does have arguably the greatest basketball coach to ever put his dress shoes on, in Mr. Popovich here, who I really think is an annoying human being, and his press conferences are an exercise in frustration and in immaturity and goofiness. But still, as when it comes to basketball coaching, when it comes to adjusting, when it comes to working with players, when it comes to, being able to lead a group of ego-driven millionaire men, I don't think anyone maybe ever in the history of ever does it better than Mr. Popovich. And let's face it, he's French. Wembanyama's French, and the Spurs are French as all Frenchy can get. They love the French out there. There is something to be said there. It's weird. It's weird how the universe works. You got to give me that. It's weird sometimes how the universe works out when you consider the fact that, yes, they did have Tony Parker and his reign of success out there in San Antonio, French nationalist player. They did have Mr. Boris Diaw, who was also quite a good player for the San Antonio Spurs and also won an NBA title. Now they get the French, the greatest Frenchman of all the French. They get the Victor Wembanyama, the 8-foot wingspan, and he will have sex with their entire family. Just ask Pierre, his neighbor. He just went ballistic on all of them. I mean, look, I'm not even joking. You do know Tony Parker, being a French, talking about a stereotype. You know he did have sex with a teammate's wife, right? Like, you do know I'm not just doing like, oh, I am French and I'm here to make love to the entire country and I'm just being silly. At least in this situation, Tony Parker famously had an affair with Brent Barry's wife, a teammate. Don't trust the Frenchies around your girlfriends and wives.
He banged them, didn't he? He banged them all.
I don't know what to tell you there. That's just fact. You can Google all of that. That's just fact. Maybe around Victor, 7'5", 19 years old, full of testosterone. I don't know what to tell you.
So had your kids, had your wife, had your kids, had your wife, had your kids, had your wife.
They banging everybody out here. But more back to actual NBA analyzation, if that's technically a word. Adrian Wojnarowski is not usually known for hyperbole or exaggeration. And get a load of what Woj said. This is why everyone was so into this draft, and that's why Holt was just so, again, like Batista, just absolutely fired up WWE style about winning the number 1 overall pick. And just so you know, there's no debate, there's no confusion, there's no nothing. Victor Wembanyama is going to be drafted by the San Antonio Spurs. There will be an apocalypse before the San Antonio Spurs do not draft Victor Wembanyama with the number 1 overall pick. If Victor Wembanyama dies the day before it, they will probably still posthumously draft him with their fingers crossed that somehow Frankenstein can revive him and possibly bring him back in a couple seasons. There is no way in hell the San Antonio Spurs are not drafting Victor Wembanyama with the number 1 overall pick, all the 7'5" French that he is. But because apparently there's never been a greater prospect. And I get it. I get it with the height and the skill set that there's a lot to be excited about here. I don't know, though, that you can take it to the level Woj did here. And again, not a guy that's known to like really go. This isn't a first faker. This isn't a guy who goes off the deep end with takes. Get a load of what he said.
This is the most highly anticipated player to ever enter the NBA. And this is maybe not only the greatest prospect in the NBA's history, maybe the greatest prospect in the history of team sports.
Wow. So.
Okay. That's certainly, not holding back there. Not just the greatest prospect in NBA history. That includes a LeBron, James being the number 1 overall pick. That included a Shaquille O'Neal. The greatest prospect, hear that one more time, all of sports ever. There's never been anything better than 19-year-old Victor Wembanyama.
This is the most highly anticipated player to ever enter the NBA. And this is maybe not only the greatest prospect in the NBA's history, maybe the greatest prospect in the history of team sports.
Wow. So
in the history of team sports, there's never been... Whew, that's big. That's a bold statement, Doug. And I get it. Again, I get it. Look, for all the, me trying to naturally, in my natural cynicism, going, sure things. Be always careful with sure things. We'll see. But the fact is, this kid really is, look, it makes a lot of sense why people are so excited. I'll just show you a couple things here with Mr. Wemby, as his nickname is. Already gotten his name right, though, Wembanyama. A lot of times, Antetokounmpo took a few years before we got his name right. We got his out the gate to give you just an idea of how fired up people are about him. But I found some highlights, and with French announcers, just to continue to highlight, he is a Frenchy frog. Is that racist? I don't know if that's racist. That's more anti-country. Whatever. Look at Wemby. Look at him. Look at the big Frenchie guy.
Non. La bonne défense d'Alain Dokossi, le tir.
Filthy. Filthy.
Extraordinaire. Pour l'instant, l'option, le ballon peut-être gagné. Non, finalement, Victor qui dribble entre les jambes. Oh, il va prendre sur un pied. Ça tombe dedans. Et avec la faute en plus. Même pour Alain Dokossi, ça relance à Fomama en contre-attaque. Il est rejeté par Victor Wembanyama à la transition. Et Milan Barbic qui fait.
Block.
Pour Thompson.
Block. So I get it. I don't know what the hell the French guys were saying there. That was just a bunch of jibber. That was a bunch of jibber jabber nonsense. I want to play it again just to hear all them Frenchies talk all French-like.
Il va vouloir jouer Victor. La bonne défense. Pour l'instant, l'option, le ballon peut-être gagné. Non, finalement, Victor qui dribble entre les jambes.
Watch out if you're Brent Berry. Oh, he about to bang your wife. That accent went off, didn't it? But yeah, block shots, fadeaways. Look, so I get it. I get the hype. I understand what people are saying. Just be careful with the sure thing. Just be careful with the sure thing is all I want to finally say about that. I will give you quickly here, though, another point on the NBA draft, as unfortunately, if you're the other teams, you lost. Your whole season it was wasted, basically. You basically spent an entire season, if you're any of the other teams, if you're the Trailblazers, if you're the Pistons, if you're the Rockets, if you're anyone else, the Hornets, it was Victor or bust, and you all busted. Some quick thoughts because apparently there is a, debate on the second or third pick. First pick will be the San Antonio Spurs, Victor Wembanyama. I got two quick thoughts on this. If you're the Charlotte Hornets, who ended up being number 2, I have something I'd like to say here. And you might think I'm crazy, or you might think that this is an overreaction. The Charlotte Hornets have 5 draft picks this year. They have 5. Count them. 5 draft picks this season, which has got to be close to historic or close to the top back to even when Danny Ainge was hoarding draft picks like he was Gollum in Lord of the Rings. Just, my precious draft picks. 5 picks is a lot. They need a culture change. The number 2 pick to me is without question Scoot Henderson. This is almost Zion Ja Morant-ish of I really like Scoot Henderson, and the chip on his shoulder he's probably getting from hearing nothing but Victor, and he's the greatest and the greatest talent in the entire history of ever. Oh my God, if Victor Wembanyama just comes to your team, titles just rain from the sky. There's going to be that chip there, and he's nice. 6'2" is obviously not 7'5", but it's just got dog in him, absolute dog in him, and this was big to me. He just got backed by Steph Curry, my boy Steph Curry, which I know a lot of you. Steph Curry. That's a very interesting side note. So Steph Curry has signed on to help him with his business and other things to become his mentor. But I've never heard of Steph doing this for anything else or anyone else yet, at least this publicly, and said basically look, I looked at his family, I looked at what he's about, and I really think that this kid is going to need some mentoring, some other things, because he's going to be a big deal. I can see where he's already going. I can see with his family what their values, what they're about. I like this kid. I want to sponsor this kid. I want to mentor this kid. And if Steph co-signed him along with his raw talent, along with the chip on the shoulder stuff, I think you got a point guard here that is hopefully maybe Ja Morant without all the gunplay. You know what I mean? I mean, this dude, Scoot Henderson. Everyone's going to talk about Victor, and fair enough. But, I mean, for one, just look at his talk about athletic ability. Look at this dunk. Jesus Christ.
All the way.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Scoot Henderson. Easy. Yeah, this is just
And F your mother, I am dunking this ball.
Defender that's above
Give me your
the
shoes,
rim,
mother.
And it does not matter. With a
Got the athleticism, got the hunger, seems to have the off-the-court stuff that a guy even like a Curry wants to endorse. So learn that name, too. I mean, yes, everyone's going to talk about Victor, and I get it. But Scoot Henderson might end up being the overall steal in this draft. Look at this.
Henderson showing off the handles. Reverse. Finishes over Wembley.
And open your eyes. That was right over Victor. You know, Mr. Shot Blocking gonna change everyone's world as soon as he steps on the court. This G Leaguer, you know, who everyone's kind of forgetting about, put it up over him pretty easily.
Henderson showing off the handles. Reverse. Finishes over Wembanyama. League Ignite. Take a look at Scoop Henderson. What he does.
The finish, though, going around the 7-4. We have some exciting things we want to do this year. Okay, here we go.
Here we go. It's showtime. Scoop Henderson. Learn the name.
Let's just be active, get out in the open court, and show.
Yeah, I mean, seems to have a chip, has a point to prove. You know, remember the name Scoot Henderson. This guy might end up being. So if you're the Charlotte Hornets, long story long, trade LaMelo. I think is a very interesting thing to do. And some of you might think I'm absolutely out of my mind here.
That's dopey talk. That's dopey dum-dum talk.
I don't think, LaMelo stays, for one. I don't think LaMelo wants to stay in Charlotte. I think he wants to go to a big market where he's fully going to go off the Ball family deep end here and fade off into probably obscurity, even though he is the most talented of the Balls. I mean, let's face it, of all the Balls, he's got the most load in his ball. He is the most fertile and youthful and strongest of all the Balls.
Quite a load.
Well, Van can handle quite a load.
In the interesting trio that is them. But he does have the same other stuff. You know, he can be injury prone. He is also a little bit of a character, to say the least. Videos of him constantly running red lights like he's colorblind at a traffic light. I mean, making, you know, silly comments, decisions. There's a lot going there. If you can trade LaMelo with your 5 draft picks and bring in this dude who is now backed by Steph Curry, if I'm Michael Jordan, who understands focus, culture, get rid of the nonsense, get rid of the silliness, I would honestly not be surprised, and I would even consider, not just consider, I would suggest trading LaMelo Ball, seeing what you can get for him, using some of your picks, and then getting this kid at number 2. Brandon Miller, the other big prospect out of Alabama. Do I even have to discuss why that's not a great idea? That drafting Brandon Miller above Scoot Henderson seems like any way, shape, or form a good idea? Are all of you analysts nuts, besides the fact that he had historically the worst tournament, which is something to me? Bringing up the Balls. Lonzo Ball, when Lonzo Ball and De'Aaron Fox played each other in the tournament, De'Aaron Fox ate his lunch and just proved overall in a big game, in a big situation, that when the lights are on, I got the dog in me. This overrated chump over here doesn't have it. And you saw that play out in the NBA. There's so many times the NCAA tournament, Steph Curry's famous run, more often than not, the tournament is a great ability, if you have a prospect in it, to see what do they do when the lights are on? What do they do when it matters? And let's see what they do from there. De'Aaron Fox was just voted the most clutch player in the NBA, and you could see it that day in Kentucky when he was like, oh, that's him? That's the guy? That's the Lonzo I heard all about? Yeah, I'm about to make this dude, drop the soap here a little bit. I mean, so the fact is, Brandon Miller, besides the fact that he did at least admit, whether he knew it or not, to recently, within the last year, helping or assisting by giving a gun to a teammate which led to the murder of a woman, a mother of a small child. I'll ignore that as much as that really is. It's a lot. It's a lot to ignore that. I mean, he was in a situation where he handed and gave a handgun to someone who, on that same night, led to a murder. I'll ignore the fact that a week after that, he still thought it was a cute idea. I had this on the very first podcast I ever did. Thought it'd be a cute idea after all that happened and after all that scrutiny to come out pregame and do his traditional in-game little pre-game celebration. He would hold his hands out and have either an assistant or a teammate do a pat down for weapons. That a week after all that, he didn't understand in his head of like, yeah, I mean, I've been doing this all year, but this is a bad look. This is probably a bad idea, especially if I'm going to be a top 3 NBA draft pick. Maybe after I was at least somewhat in a situation where I assisted in a homicide, maybe I should not hold my arms out and act like I'm being checked for weapons a week after that happens. How about the fact that in the NCAA tournament, he was so bad, his 8 of 41 shooting in his 3 games combined, as Alabama was supposed to be the number 1 overall seed and were humongously upset. How about the fact that his 8 of 41 and his 20%, whatever it was the worst shooting percentage in NCAA tournament history in the last 64 years for anyone who shot 40 or more field goal attempts. There has been no one in the last 64 years who, if they shot and were a focal point of a team that shot, 40 combined field goal attempts in 3 games, that had a worse 3-game performance than Brandon Miller did this last season, besides his whatever he's doing and his situations involving murder.
What does that do? Does that blow your mind?
And you're going to take him, and people have him over Scoot Henderson. You are out of your rabbit-ass mind. If I'm the Charlotte Hornets, very clear. If I have to get rid of LaMelo to bring in the Scoot era, I'm doing it. I got draft picks. I can get some good stuff for him. That would be my other thing I would do there. And if I'm the Trailblazers at 3rd, I ain't touching him. I ain't touching Brandon. Didn't show me anything in the tournament. Didn't show me anything in his head. I mean, again, it's one thing to be involved in that situation. It's another, a week later, to still do emulate a weapons pat down. You know what? Gone on too long. I need to cleanse my palate. Let's have some fun here, and it was some video.
You seen it? You seen it? Don't look at me. Don't look at me, little puppet.
Have you seen this? Have you read about this?
Always my favorite part at the end to kind of just laugh at some things and have some fun. I'm done bitching. I'm done ranting. But in case you are listening, and I do try to, help out a little bit with the videos I played during the podcast, but this is truly just to have some fun. You need to see most of this stuff. Please go to our YouTube channel, Tricky Guy Sports. Search it in case you don't have an ability to see what we're about to see. Some of this stuff's pretty damn funny. So, what did I want to give you today? Oh my God. Okay, I got 2 good ones here. 2 good ones, and then I want to end on a legend. 2 good ones, legend. Speaking of drafts, Chicago Bears, I got your new wide receiver. Got your new wide receiver, Chicago Bears. Wink, wink. Check this out.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, here, baby. Oh, that's the part.
ready?
Come on.
Give me
Dude.
It's amazing that a pure revenant killing machine can be so damn cuddly and cute when it wants to be. Look at this big old fuzzy little just ding-dong catching a slice of breakfast. He's just a cute little boy. That guy would rip your face off without thinking about it if you step too close. But right there, doesn't he look adorable?
I'm so sorry.
Okay, here, baby. Oh, that's the part.
ready?
Come on.
Dude.
It's cute.
You're my best friend.
If I was those ladies, though, I'd be a little nervous being that close and attracting the bears.
I read somewhere that their periods attract bears. The bears can smell the menstruation.
Well, that's just great. You hear that, Ed? Bears. Now you're putting the whole station in jeopardy.
Gotta watch out for those bears, ladies. Watch out for those bears. Also, watch out for young, pervy boys. They do grow into be podcasting old, pervy men. I'm just saying. This is, I can't even get mad at this.
Actually, I'm not even mad. That's amazing.
Kids are not as cute to me as big cuddly bears catching a slice of bread. But I just saw this recently. A kid was, this looks like during a recital or something. Like this is like, I think in a church. And I don't know if the demon just got into him, but he just, I don't know, man. The mom was not having it though. Watch this. Hi, Mom. That was classic. He just, it was all sweet and waving, hallelujah, and doing all that, and then just, look at that. How about I grab it and shake it at you? And, Mom's going to kick his ass later.
He kicked my ass.
Holy Lord, that was absolutely hilarious. I got to see it one more time just for fun. Hallelujah. Hey, Mom. And I grab it and I shake it and I flip it around. And I'm only 5 years old, but I already know this to do. Somewhere the dad is like, bro, why you got to sell me out like that? Why you got to sell me out like that? Preachers and pastors wondering, who's got the demon? The demon's got him. The demon's got him grabbing his little thing and doing it there and there.
Devil 666, the mark of the beast.
He's still not the GOAT, though. The GOAT of little boys, and I'll bring it at least to sports again, being highly inappropriate in front of a camera. No one will ever touch Marlon's Dancing Kid. I don't know if you've missed Marlon's Dancing Kid in your life, shame on you, and be glad you're looking and watching and listening right now. And if you're only listening, you're going to go to Tricky Guy Sports on YouTube and search it, and you're going to come to this part of the end of the video, and you're going to see the legend, the absolute legend. No one will ever touch the most. He must have half of Florida knocked out at this point. At a Marlins game, they caught this kid, and he got caught. He's like, oh, my God, I'm on camera. No, the crotch grabbing shirt, that's good. Again, that's LeBron to Jordan. That, like, the crotch grab kid at church is LeBron. Like, that was, great performance. All-timer. But he's not the legend. No. Marlins kid's the legend. No one will ever touch this little genius right here. Love this kid. Look at me. Yeah. Give me a freaking break. Look at this psycho. Look at this absolute psycho. Look at this kid. Just good Lord. Was he born near a testosterone factory that leaked? Oh my God. What is this kid, like 6? And you can clearly, just like, yeah. Show you what I can do. I got the tongue out. Legend, the GOAT, the legend, the greatest. No one will ever touch Marlon's kid. And no parents going, stop it. Stop it. You notice that? They're like, yeah, we like the demon. We like the demon in our little 6-year-old. We can't wait till, half of Duval is pregnant when this kid's done with him.
Devil 666, the mark of the beast.
Last thing on legends, and I'll stop because I have to. I'm running out of time. The old phrase from The Sandlot: heroes live forever, but a legend never dies. Heroes live forever, but a legend never dies. We are still getting gold and absolutely amazing videos from the life and times of Kobe Jellybean Bryant. Give me a choice between Kobe or LeBron. It's not even a contest. And you can see it here. You can see it's the mental, it's the leadership, it's the other things. Because this is the Olympics, the Redeem Team, which is a great documentary, by the way, on Netflix. Go check that out. The Redeem Team documentary with where Kobe and LeBron were the 1 and 2 of leading the LeBron-led team from before that ended up embarrassing themselves, coming back and getting the gold medal. And really, Kobe... This is like when Jordan was on the 92 one of like, there was other alphas, and then Kobe just came out and said, yeah, cute. All of you move to the side. This is my show. This is how we're going to do things. I'm going to set the tone. So they're playing Spain. As much as I was picking on the French, shout out to España with your weird lisp on your words right there. Welcome to Spain and España. I don't know what that's all about. But during the Olympics, and Kobe did this for other foreign languages too. He would learn some of the best players, other players that were not from America. He would learn their language and talk crap to them in their native-born tongue. And so this one's just in Spanish, but it's one of the Gasol brothers, I believe, or it's one. It's one of the Spanish dudes. And Kobe starts talking crap to him in Spanish, and is getting so heated. Even LeBron tries to calm him down. Kobe's like, F all that, and then proceeds to dunk on the dude because heroes live forever, but a legend never dies. Kobe Bryant will forever be that dude. Scholar.
I got him. Cole, that's it, Cole. I got him. That's it.
All right, so I'm going to replay all that one more time. So in case you missed it, Kobe's talking crap to him in Spanish. Scola says back something like, your Spanish isn't that great. And he says, I'm going to tell you. And so he's going back and forth, and LeBron is like, enough, Kobe. It's getting too much, Kobe. Alpha second. Watch that documentary the whole time. It's mom, it's dad. It really is. It's the friend, it's the nice one, it's the consoler, it's the come on, let's not fight versus I'm going to kick everyone's ass. This is my jungle. This is my house. I don't give a damn what language you speak. I'm going to tell you about it, then I'm going to do it. So watch it one more time, and if you can listen closely, subtitles as well, you can see. Kobe was just a dog. He was a lion. He was an alpha that you can see it in direct comparison here. Come on, Kobe. Stop, Kobe.
I got him. Kobe, that's it, Kobe. I got him. That's it. Play the game. Play ball.
Next play. Show you what language I speak. Languages suck on that. Languages suck on that because I'm Kobe frickin' Bryant and I'm here to get this gold medal. You got to remember and watch it. The Spain at the time was considered and it had the victory. So there was a reason that Kobe came out and had that dog in him. It wasn't just like he's just a jerk. He just did it for fun. It's because he's a legend. He understood it's up here. Heroes live forever. Legend never dies. Kobe Bryant, to this day, man, it doesn't make sense. I don't believe you're gone. I really don't. One of the hardest strangers' deaths I've ever had to take because that dude was just different in a way that you either get it or you don't. Either get it or you don't. Because a hero lives forever. Legend never dies. Gotta go. Bye.